So when it comes to a relationship, there are signs you're smothering him. And like it or not, one of the things in life a girlfriend doesn't want to do is smother her partner. There are lots of reasons for this coming up in a relationship, but the most important advice for you is to know if you're being too needy. Are you smothering him? Let's find out. Hey, this is Carlos Cavallo from datingfire.com and datingadviceguru.com. Yeah, sometimes insecurities show up in the way you feel and, the little red flags that you notice along the way in your relationship. It's very hard for a man to explain to his girlfriend that she is suffocating or in some way she's not handling the relationship very well. He doesn't want to hurt your feelings. So what he might do is he might hint with his own behavior, and this is how you're going to read it. Now, the goal is to have your man feeling your openness, not your insecurities. And I want to show you these signals that you're smothering him or that you might be making him feel pressure. So signal number one is you're trying to control too much in his life. Now, I'm sure that most women don't feel that they're trying to control the relationship too much. You want to believe that you're the cool girl, you're easygoing, right? You're the cool chick. But the truth here is that if a man is a go along to get along kind of guy, he may be letting you take a little too much of the lead, a little too much of the leadership of the relationship. He may be guilty of not controlling his own boundaries very well. And when that happens, a woman tends to take over. And you know what? I wouldn't blame you. But the unfortunate thing is that this feels like smothering to him. It's smothering behavior that will compromise your happiness and his. A man needs to feel independence and a separate identity from the relationship. This doesn't mean that he's not committed. It simply means he has to have a balance. Take a look at the places where your relationship overlaps with your significant other in his life. If you're managing your social life a little too closely, I urge you, give him some more autonomy. It's always easier for a man to let the woman take over, but that doesn't mean that you fall down that slippery slope. When you get a chance, get him to put back in the effort and plan activities with you again. As a relationship expert, this is one of the most common places where things go wrong in relationships. It's easier for you to just take over. I totally agree, which is why in the end, it will simply cause him to feel a loss of intimacy. Besides, you want him to put in that effort and show his feelings, not give him an excuse to tell you that you smother him, right? Signal number two is his body language is closed. When you start to sense distance from him, the first thing you have to look at is his body language. Now, I'm not talking about the subtle signs like if he's turning his hip towards you or if his eyes are dilated or anything like that. No. What you should look at, though, is how open he feels during a conversation. With a little bit of attention, you should be able to sense if his body language is open or closed. You'll know whether or not you have a connection if he's checking out on you. Most warning signs show up in communication. If he's crossing his arms and not seeming like he's very receptive, you might be suffocating him a little bit. You should be able to detect a lot of his hesitation and fear. All right, the next smothering signal is you feel anxious and stressed about your relationship most of the time. Men typically pull away from a relationship if they sense clinginess from their partner. The anxiety and stress you feel is because, well, it's your fear that you might break up, and then the energy between you two, it starts to affect it. At times, relationships may reach a point where your affection dwindles or the partners feel like something needs work, but it's confusing to know where to start, right? Your boyfriend may have a problem he doesn't know how to tell you about, or he has questions he doesn't know how to ask. If you feel like your emotions are out of sync and out of control most of the time with him, you're probably doing something that's smothering him, and this will make him pull away. Be especially careful of any manipulation you find yourself engaging in just to get what you want. Is your relationship moving forward, or do you feel stuck? If you're interested at looking closer at what might be holding back your relationship, I've got something that will help you find out. Go on to datingfire.com/roadblock, datingfire.com/roadblock, or just click the link in the description below. All right, next sign of smothering is he expresses a need for more privacy. Yeah, one of the ways he might signal you directly is if he comments about needing more privacy and possibly some time apart. Now again, this doesn't mean he's ending the relationship. Calm down. He just needs to reclaim a feeling of independence. Now he also needs your permission to reclaim his freedom, which can be hard for you to do because what is it doing, right? It stirs up the insecurities and fears of you guys breaking up with each other. For example, he might not want you to see what he's doing on his phone all the time. You might feel jealous or scared that that means he must be texting some other woman, but in reality, he just needs a separate space so that he doesn't feel smothered or controlled. Now, you might question his need for privacy and that this is a need for him to stay separate from you. Instead, just watch for a sudden change of habits that could be a sign of distance between you. It's not his needing privacy. Next sign, you find yourself stalking him a little bit on social media. The problem and risk with social media is that we are sometimes way too connected to each other. There's no doubt about it. There's really no space for guys to be guys and girls to just let him be a guy. Between Facebook and Twitter and email and text, people are often communicating, but they're not really connecting. If your relationship feels threatened, chances are you might get the idea that you can keep track of him online, right? After all, we tend to put everything about our lives on Instagram or some other social media. If you've ever found yourself checking out on a comment of his or a post or anything online just to see if he might be connecting with somebody else, yes, you might be guilty of a little bit of cyber stalking. Look, let's be honest, it can be easy to look for an answer to our situation this way. We all put too much of ourselves and our lives online, but if he senses that you're doing this, if he senses that you're constantly staying up on him or watching him online, he's going to very likely make some decisions about your relationship that you're not going to like. Next smothering signal is you might feel like you're always in competition with his hobbies. Many women feel that there's no room in her boyfriend's life for her. Maybe he's sitting on the couch playing video games all the time and you're right there next to him, hip to hip. Maybe you feel like he doesn't make enough time for you, or there's just never enough of him to go around. When his hobbies or his recreational interests seem to be pushing you out, he might be using them to keep you at a distance to give him a little bit of breathing room. He doesn't want to leave, he just needs to breathe. Hey, really important reminder here. You can never force your man to love you or open up to you. He has to give it willingly. If he isn't capable of openness up front, you might have chosen an unavailable man. Pressure feels like a burden to men, and it won't help him to open up or to relax into intimacy with you. Hey, you like these tips? Of course you do. Why wouldn't you? Go hit subscribe right now. Turn on the notifications too so you can get these videos every week and you'll know exactly when they're released. Go do it now. Next smothering sign is you feel like you can't get enough of him. Sure, you get together with him and you make plans and you go on dates, but you don't feel like that's enough time. In fact, you might even feel a little bit insatiable when it comes to spending time together. This is another of the common issues in relationships. Maybe you've had a talk with him about this too, and there's just no amount of time that makes you feel like you're a couple or that you have enough contact. It's like the bottomless coffee cup. You can't fill it up. As a result, you find that you might push or press him into spending more time with you. Hey, what's he doing right now, by the way? Oh, no, don't check. This feeling of never being able to fill up your bucket is a red flag for your relationship, and it leads to you wanting to check in on him all the time. And it also is a red flag for your mental health. Take a look at the reason why this is happening. Everyone has the desire to spend all their time together at the start of a relationship, but occasionally you do need a break, and he does especially. Next smothering sign, you feel jealousy a lot of the time. You're jealous of a lot of things in his life. His video games and his hobbies and his interests seem to get more attention than you. His friends get more time than you. His mom is getting more attention than you. And yes, you're a little jealous of that, which also kind of makes you feel a bit crummy, huh? His family seems to crowd you out, but you're pretty sure this is your imagination. Or maybe not. Look, you may even feel jealous of your girlfriends when they get attention from him, even when it's only friendly and harmless. Now, jealousy is one of those feelings that can plague you unless you resolve it and find out what's causing it. Either he is really doing things that are making you fear you might be losing him, or you are imagining it on some level. But even if you're imagining it, I have some news for you. It still feels real, right? Yeah, you didn't need me to tell you that. And that means you may have a self-esteem issue to resolve. Next smothering sign is when you kiss him, he feels like he's somewhere else. The lips never lie, as I like to say. Another part of his body language is how he feels when you're really close to him, like in an embrace or kissing him. Does he feel warm and engaged or cold and disinterested? Do you sense that his kisses are holding back from you in some way? If you sense that he's not really feeling it when he kisses you, he may be feeling the effects of smothering. His emotions are dampening his desire. Next smothering sign is you feel let down by your relationship. Again, at the start, all relationships seem fantastic, thrilling, passionate. But then reality comes along to remind you that there's another side to relationships, and the intense feelings can't last. It can't be that way forever. So we realize that disappointment is going to show up at some point. But it's a problem if, most of the time, you feel like your expectations just can't be met. And maybe you're not sure if it's a problem with him or a problem with your expectations. Maybe you have a similar situation even in your friendships. This is a difficult situation to face because, well, when you feel it in most of your relationships, because you're also sensing that it could be something you need to work on. The best thing you can do is take a step back. Get some answers about where you are with your expectations. Make sure you don't have expectations that are unrealistic and that basically no relationship could meet. Make sure you're really open to the experience that relationships are not capable of living up to fairy tale expectations. You can't go there. And finally, the smothering sign that you've probably experienced, he stops responding to you. You ever had that sneaking suspicion when you sent him a text message that he saw it, but he chose not to respond to it? Or maybe you left him a voicemail and you didn't hear anything back from him. Or he has this funny way of saying he missed a lot of your texts, but you can tell when he's seen the text, right? And there's always a long delay before he replies, if he replies. The same is true if you call him, but you get his voicemail and most of the time, and then you get no callbacks. The lack of contact can make you worry. Just like the feeling of being let down, though, you want to make sure that you don't have an unreasonable expectation of him. The fact is that men don't typically call or text very often. It's not in our nature. And while he may do this, he may have started doing this at the start of your relationship, he's not going to be able to keep it up forever. It's just unrealistic. And this is going to be disappointing to you. It's going to feel like a change, as it probably raised your hopes. Oh my God, he's so perfect. He met all my expectations. No. Allow him the ability to get a little bit comfortable with you, okay? And perhaps also not let him have to be so fervent about texting or contacting you every 5 minutes. It can be really tiring. As long as you're not feeling regularly dysregulated and a lot of anxiety over these pauses, you're going to do fine. On the other hand, if you're actually feeling a lot of anxiety regularly over your attachment with him, it's time to take a look at it. It can be difficult to figure out if you're actually smothering him or he's just emotionally shut down. Many women make the mistake of assuming that their man is emotionally unavailable, but he's really just reacting to feeling too much pressure in the relationship. Yeah, he's smothered. You need to know if he's really into you or not. You need to know if there's a future in this relationship so you can either continue investing your heart in him or move on. This is especially important if you're looking for marriage and, yeah, time is ticking, right? If you're interested in looking closer, what might be holding you back from the relationship, I've got something that will help you get that kind of relationship right now. Go take my quiz. Go to datingfire.com/roadblock. datingfire.com/roadblock. It's a quick way for you to figure out where your roadblock is in your romance. Is he pulling away? Will he ask you to marry him eventually, or are you smothering him? You can get right to the heart of the problem and find out once and for all how to get him to desire you the way you want. And yes, the way you deserve. Go take the quiz and find out what's really stopping him from really loving you. Go on over to datingfire.com/roadblock. And yeah, if you want more of this topic, go on over to datingfire.com and just click on the article with the same title about Are You Smothering Him? And you can find out what I couldn't fit into this video. Hey, if you're new here, or even if you're not, wait, before you go, do the big three. Like and subscribe. Get this stuff every single week. Turn on the notifications. Click that bell icon, the button right next to the subscribe button, so you get notified when I release more fantastic videos coming soon. And if you're already subscribed, please share. I give away a ton of information every week, and all I really need people to do is share this, spread the word, and Carlos can help more people. Oh, and number 3, don't forget to comment below. Did you agree with the tips I gave you here? Is there another video you want? Do you want a part 2? Tell me what other videos you'd like to see. I do read the comments, and I try to respond as much as I can each week. Don't forget, I'm going to put a new video for you to watch up here in the corner. And hey, this is Carlos Cavallo. As always, live and love with passion.